All right, good morning. My name is Jeff Orrock here at the National Weather Service in Wakefield. This is our regular Monday weekly briefing, but we'll be really focused on the severe weather that we're expecting maybe a little bit later today, and then we'll get into the weather for the rest of the week. Overall, some of the highlights here, the severe potential did decrease slightly, at least since yesterday. It hasn't changed. The morning update that came out at around 9 a.m. did not change the threat at all. It has decreased. If you looked at the threats over the weekend, we were in a level 3 threat, and we're down to a level 2 threat. And that changed basically early this morning. And with the update as of 9 a.m., we're still in that level 2 risk. So a slight change there. There's been a little bit of a decrease in the tornado threat as well, which we'll talk about that. And we do have some updated timing graphics that we'll talk about, and we'll be able to show what's going on. As far as just the current conditions, it's kind of a mix of sun and clouds. Got quite a bit of sunshine over a lot of the area, except over North Carolina and maybe Southeast Virginia. Got some of these high and mid clouds streaming over, but obviously much more cloud cover as you go west, and the showers and storms are just off the satellite image there. But actually, we're fairly sunny. One of the few folks across Central Virginia, Eastern Virginia, Eastern Shore. We have more sunshine than most this morning, allowing us to heat up, and we'll be getting pretty warm later on today. As far as what the radar looks like right now, just so we can see where we're starting, pretty good band of showers and storms, really from southeast Tennessee all the way down across Alabama. And this whole system is going to gradually continue to push east and northeast, and we'll start to see more development on the northern edge of this line. And that's what's going to push up through Carolina and then come up into Central Virginia and make its way really across, a good part of the Commonwealth. So right now it's where it's supposed to be. I think the models have a pretty good handle on the timing of this, and so we'll get into that, but just letting you guys see, it's still pretty far off as far as anything today. Today's really going to be a nice, very warm spring day, maybe a little bit breezy, but that's about it, and the storms will be here much later on today. So I'm going to go ahead and just skip all the highlights. We're going to hit all of this stuff here through the briefing. So again, we're in that level 2 risk of severe weather. You do see the level 3 risk, the enhanced risk, right there at the North Carolina, Virginia border and south. And it really doesn't even sneak into northeast North Carolina. So really, most of our area does remain in a level 2 slight risk of severe weather. Doesn't mean we won't see any. We do expect some pretty good showers and some strong to severe thunderstorms to come through much later today. And we'll talk about the main threat, here, what we're expecting from these things. But for the most part, the higher risk is really across Central Carolina and places south of there. So breaking it down, you look at these 3 images here, and the one on the far left, that's the highest probability for severe weather today. And so, if we do start to see some severe weather, it's going to be because of a straight line damaging winds. That's the primary threat. So you see here, everything highlighted in yellow, about a 15 to 20% probability of getting some pretty strong gusty to severe winds, about, I'd say 50 to 60 mile per hour or more. And again, that's much later on today and into tonight. That's our best threat. The hail threat has decreased some, which does make sense. The fact that this is coming through a little bit later in the day, not quite as much as cold. There's not that much cold air in the mid levels to really get very, really deep, strong updrafts going that will support large hail. I wouldn't be shocked if we do see a little bit of hail, especially as warm as we are. But the hail threat has decreased, about 5 to 10% probability of large hail. Tornado threat, it's decreased since yesterday. It is unchanged this morning as far as the overnight update. The 9 a.m. update was about the same. And so the 5% tornado risk is really mainly across South Central Virginia, Southeast Virginia, and then down into North Carolina. And this is where, we'll probably have maybe some of the better shear and instability try to come together later this evening and especially into tonight. And we might start to see some of those storms, rotating a little bit as they start to kind of push up into the region. So we'll watch out for that. Could still see some rotation, even, 64 north. It's just the probability of tornadoes up there a little bit lower, a little bit better, 64 in Richmond south, down through Carr Lake and Lake Gaston in northeast North Carolina. So we'll be watching this. But that threat for any kind of circulations really is much later today. I'm really into tonight, and we'll talk about that here more in just a minute. In fact, that's the slide we have right here. So this is kind of a quick screen capture. This was from the HRRR rapid refresh model. And it's doing a pretty good job, I think, trying to time it out. Got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt. And you kind of see here, the storms really aren't, they're really getting into about Farmville, maybe to Danville by about, let's say, 5 to 6 o'clock. The new HRRR is speeding things up a little bit. So maybe you err on the earlier side here. So maybe about 5 o'clock, maybe even 4 to 5 o'clock. The storms are just west of Richmond, Danville to Farmville to Fredericksburg. And then they'll probably be pushing into I-95 corridor. I'd say around 6-ish, could be as early as 5. But I think it's maybe we're like 6 or 7. They start getting in the I-95 corridor, and eventually it'll kind of push its way all the way to the coast. As we get into, it could be pretty late, 8 o'clock and later, as far as getting into the peninsulas and getting into our Southeast Virginia and Bay counties, as well as Northeast North Carolina and Maryland Eastern Shore. So I'll kind of just step through. This is the 0Z HRRR, so the 12Z is still coming in. I don't have all the 12Z available yet in this display, but it's doing a pretty good job. This is kind of a snapshot as of right now, and it does have the bulk of the showers and storms really from southeast Tennessee going down through Alabama, and then we just saw that on the radar. That's exactly where they are, so still a ways away. As we step through the afternoon, this is getting us into about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Again, you really don't see any activity. I mean, Richmond's sitting right here across central Virginia, Hampton Roads, right in this region here. You see the Maryland Eastern Shore, Northeast North Carolina. Everything's really pretty nice, just a mix of sun and clouds. So that's 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I'm still not seeing it too much. Starting to see maybe a little bit of development across the mountains and parts of the Piedmont, but most of the region is still really clear. As we start to get into about, let's say about 6 p.m., or so, 5 to 6 p.m., definitely starting to see more development now starting to come together out in the west. The system's coming east. We've been heating up all day. We've got some good moisture here. The dew points are actually running a little higher than forecast. So we got some good moisture. We got to have some good heating all day long. So you do start to see things trying to fill in and develop as the storm system gets east of the mountains. And that's by about, let's say, 6 o'clock or so. And as we step forward, we get into about maybe 8 o'clock or so, let's say 7 or 8 o'clock, maybe starting to push into that I-95 corridor by about, let's say, 7 or 8. And you do start to see it really has kind of developed into at least a pseudo line of showers and storms, maybe with some gusty winds and some really brief heavy rain. Might last about maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And so we'll keep on pushing this through. That's 8 o'clock this evening. Get into about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. This is about 10 o'clock. The models are speeding this up a little bit. So this is suggesting at about 10 o'clock, it might be west of the Chesapeake Bay, but things are speeding up, and sometimes these things do accelerate once the wind gets going. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the storms maybe, closer to the Chesapeake Bay. I mean, 10 o'clock may look a little bit more like this. I think things are going to accelerate, and I think you're going to see it kind of go from west of I-95 to the Chesapeake Bay a little bit faster than this, but you get a general sense that things should be pushing towards the coast in the Chesapeake Bay by about 10 o'clock. I don't know if it's going to break up a whole lot. I still think you're going to see a pretty good band of some showers and storms with some pretty good winds coming across the bay. Probably going to see a fair number of special marine warnings, a lot of winds of probably around 35 to 40 knots as this line of showers and storms pushes down the rivers and across the bay. We do expect some pretty good wind with it as it comes through. Then it does continue to kind of push on offshore, and you just see a little bit of light rain back behind it, maybe some lingering showers overnight. But by the time we get into tomorrow morning during the rush hour traffic, everything's offshore. It's completely blown itself out. So this is just kind of what we're looking at today, just this line of showers and storms progressing across the area. Again, a little bit of maybe strong to severe wind, and maybe an isolated tornado, and then it moves right on offshore. So that's the timing as far as the way this looks for today. As far as the amount of rainfall that we're expecting, not a lot of rainfall. Some places might be able to pick up a good quick, half inch to an inch of rain. It wouldn't be shocked. We do need it to kind of wash off the pollen. Quite a bit of pollen out there right now. But generally, I'd say, on the low end, to get maybe a quarter inch of rain. And then on the high end, maybe some folks start to pick up about an inch of rain or so. And you can kind of see that's not only here across central Virginia, but pretty much, a good area from, I'd say, the mountains east all the way to the coast. Anywhere from, I'd say, at least a quarter of an inch, possibly up to an inch of rainfall. So that'll be good. It'll be a good burst of rain. That inch of rain might come in about, the course of, let's say, an hour to 90 minutes is when you're going to get most of that rainfall. So just a good burst of some heavy rain. Not expecting any widespread flooding from this. It's not going to last that long. You saw it kind of blows on through. So just a good burst of rain, maybe some ponding on the roads, and then things taper off, pretty quickly. It will be a little bit breezy today. The winds have picked up a little bit. I wouldn't say it's really going to be overly windy today, but it will be a little bit breezy. A little more windy maybe up there on the Maryland Eastern Shore, where you see Salisbury's gusting to about maybe 30 to 31 miles per hour out of the south. But the rest of us pretty much, we're gusting around maybe 20, 25, maybe up to around 30 miles per hour. It's been breezy the last few days, probably a little breezier than yesterday. Saturday was pretty windy. So we're just kind of in that windy pattern with that warm south wind. So nothing extreme, but it is just kind of breezy out there. Now, since the humidity is up, that's why there's no fire danger today. So even though it is warm, it is kind of breezy, humidity is up out there. So we don't have any fire danger today, just some breezy and warm conditions. So just kind of timing it out, you can kind of see here now just for the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, this is the wind forecast every 3 hours here. So you can see that south wind today, pretty breezy. I'm coming out of the south. The winds do let up a little bit, basically right behind those showers and storms. The winds may decrease a little bit. And then that front pushes through and you see the winds go northwest and they pick right up again. Pretty good breezy northwest winds after about 3 a.m. Gusted anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour here across the region Tuesday morning. That cold air is coming in behind that cold front. So it's going to be pretty breezy. And then the wind should start to decrease, especially Tuesday afternoon and evening. That cold air is kind of settled in and we should really start to see the winds decrease here quite a bit. So breezy today with the south wind, and then breezy tomorrow morning into early afternoon as that cold front pushes offshore. And then the wind should die off after that. Looking at the timing of rainfall, we got kind of already timed this out for you guys, but you can see the rainfall chances really start to increase, especially Farmville later this afternoon. But for most of us, it's really not until about 7 o'clock and later. And I kind of outlined the timing of severe weather, as early as, let's say, 5 or 6 in the west, maybe as late as midnight or so, way out on the eastern shore. It could be a little sooner than that, but kind of get the overall timing of the chance of precipitation. Maybe those lingering showers there, early tomorrow morning. But again, by the time you hit the rush hour, those rain chances have really decreased and will probably be even lower than that. So rain should be pushed offshore by then. Now, looking at the rest of the week, it's kind of looking fairly pleasant. This is kind of, I'll stick with you through the weather maps here. So this is actually, looking at this afternoon right here, got the cold front coming across again through Alabama, parts of eastern Tennessee. That's where all the showers and storms are. And so that's what's going to bring us our chance of severe weather. Get into this evening by about, let's say, 8 o'clock, and the cold front is coming right across the mountains with the showers and storms, right ahead of that cold front. As we push through to tomorrow morning, now you see that cold front's way offshore. High pressure is building down, so we'll have that, gusty northwest winds there tomorrow morning as that cool air really coming down out of Canada, giving us a little bit of a quick cool shot there. By tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, though, you see the high pressure sitting right overhead. So that's why the winds die out. There's some cooler air in place. Should be a lot clearer, and things are going to be much calmer for Tuesday evening. Just going to be quite a bit cooler. Wednesday morning, again, high pressure still in control, so still not too bad. By the time we get into Thursday, you definitely see the next cold front coming. You see that pressure gradient, kind of the lines tightening up across Virginia again. So going to see an increasing southwest wind again, probably getting pretty breezy for Thursday and especially Friday. I'm ahead of that next front as that front's approaching from the west. Get that, pretty decent, southwest winds. By the time we get into Friday morning, you kind of see that front. It's trying to make it here. It's stalling out a little bit. It's not really progressing, as fast as this cold front is. Kind of starts to stall out, but it does try to sneak in here. You see Saturday morning, it does try to sneak in from the north. We get a little bit of a backdoor cold front that does try to sneak in here for Saturday morning. Could bring us a few little showers here this weekend, maybe a little bit of a wind shift, but it's not looking like anything significant by any means. So most of the week does look pretty nice as far as the weather goes, nothing too extreme. And so you kind of see here, today's warm. Tuesday and Wednesday, quite a bit cooler compared to today behind that cold front. You see those temperatures really rebounding Thursday and Friday ahead of that next, we'll call it cool front, that backdoor front on Saturday. So really gets to see some summer-like temperatures here Thursday, Friday. Maybe a little bit cooler. You see some pretty good differences in temperature on Saturday. So that's that backdoor cold front trying to sneak in. Maryland Eastern Shore, you can tell it's going to be much cooler than some of the other areas. Get a little bit of that northeast to east flow coming off the ocean. Some of the Bay counties may be quite a bit cooler with that little bit of an east to northeast wind. So that backdoor lower cold front may mess with us a little bit temperature-wise on Saturday. And again, you see this kind of at least some chances for a few showers here on Saturday as that little weak backdoor cold front tries to sneak in here. And overall, again, you see really coldest night is really going to be Tuesday night, Wednesday morning with that nice, high pressure overhead, good nighttime cooling there. And then even the overnight lows rebound later on in the week with that south wind. Before I switch to the marine, just looking at the long term, I didn't have a slide in there, looking at the next six to 10 days. And so this is the temperature outlook, and looking ahead, further out, April 5th through April 9th. This is off the Climate Prediction Center's website. You do see a signal here, a decent signal that the temperatures will, on average, run below normal as you look further out into the forecast. And from April 5th to April 9th, about a 45% probability there that we're going to see below normal temperatures. And you can see the probability of above normal temperatures pretty low, only about 22%. So we may be getting into a little bit cooler pattern as we get, out through April 5th to April 9th. Looking at precipitation, let me switch that one over to here. It is suggesting that we could see, a chance for above normal precipitation, about a 45% probability that we may continue to see, these off and on cold fronts coming through, bringing us some rain. 42% chance. That's my fault. So the precipitation probability is not as strong, about a 42% probability that we'll see above normal precipitation, and about a 1 in 3 chance that it could be near normal. So this isn't a really strong signal for above normal above normal precipitation. I think there's a better chance it could be cooler versus wetter, but we'll see how it goes. So a little bit cooler than normal, a little bit wetter than normal as we get into April 5th to April 9th. So we'll see. It's springtime. Things are moving around a lot this year with a lot of flip-flopping temperatures, as you guys know. So shifting gears into the marine, we are expecting small craft advisory conditions to continue. The middle image here is a probability of gales, so not really expecting any kind of gale conditions, but really strong probabilities here that the small craft advisories that we see now obviously are going to be ongoing and even persist into tomorrow. And so if I break it down day by day, the orange representing the small craft advisory conditions, where you have the winds of about 18 to 25 knots, and maybe seas of about 5 feet. And then the red represents gales. And you don't see any red on the map at all here, but you do see a lot of orange today, a lot of small craft advisory conditions. Even into Tuesday and Tuesday night, we maintain small craft advisory conditions. Things do improve a little bit here on Wednesday, and the winds do pick up Wednesday night, and that's why you see the orange showing up on the Chesapeake Bay there. Wednesday may not be too bad during the day, and then the winds will pick up Wednesday night with those south winds increasing, and may see some small craft advisory conditions Wednesday night, mainly on the bay. And then you see that kind of continuing into Thursday. I think those southwest winds will pick up a little bit on Thursday, so maybe 15 to 20 knots on the Chesapeake Bay. Coastal waters should stay below 20 to 25 knots. Maybe we see some gusts to low 20s, but we should stay right at to just below small craft, depending on where you are over the coastal waters. And then things do improve a little bit for Friday, and even this Saturday, we probably won't see too much wind into Saturday. So these are our peak winds here over the next 72 hours. So peak winds that we'll see on the bay, maybe around upper 20s to maybe around 30 knots or so out of the southwest, and maybe getting up to around 28 knots on the bay. And remember, these winds are southwest today, and then later tonight, early tomorrow morning, they'll be northwest, and they'll be about the same speed. Be gusty today with a southwest wind, and then kind of breezy as we get into the early morning hours on Tuesday behind that front with the northwest wind, probably doing about the good 20 knots or so, gusting up to maybe up to 30 on the bay as that cold air surges in, and maybe even getting up close to 30 on the coastal waters as that cold air surges in. And again, that kind of breaks it down here. You see kind of here the front coming through later tonight and getting to early Monday morning as it comes through the south. There's winds today coming out of the south, and they come through later tonight and early tomorrow morning, and we get those gusts maybe up in the mid to upper 20s. And that's all we have for the briefing today. We'll do this again on Thursday. Again, we'll be using this exact same link. We don't plan on changing the link. And I'll go ahead and stop the recording here and just see if anybody has any questions.